turning further from my home. Young, like a new moon rising fierce through the rain and lightning, wandering out into this great unknown. And I don't want no one to cry, but tell him if I don't survive, I was born free. I was born free. I was born free. Born free. And free like a river raging strong. If the wind I'm facing, chasing dreams.
Median incomes in America have dropped by 10% in the last 4 years. And so this president is looking for someone to blame, of course. He started off by blaming George Bush, and that worked for a while. But, you know, after 3.5 years, that wears kind of thin. And so then he started to blame Congress. But what we remember that he had a supermajority in both the House and the Senate in his own party for his first 2 years. So you can't blame Congress. This man is out of ideas. He's out of excuses. And then there was Dodd-Frank, their financial regulatory piece of legislation. I spoke with an auto dealer this morning. He said Dodd-Frank makes it harder for him to get loans for people. I listened to a banker this morning. He said Dodd-Frank makes it harder for them to make loans and to help small businesses get going. Do you think Dodd-Frank helped get our economy going again? Then there was an effort to impose unions on businesses and employees that didn't want them by having quickie elections and taking away the right to a secret ballot. Do you think imposing unions where employees don't want them is helping create jobs in this country? No. Well, then there was his tax plan. He wants to raise the marginal tax rate from 35% to 40%. When I spoke to Frank and Kerry this morning, they told me that their business is not taxed at the corporate tax level. It's instead taxed at the individual tax level. They pay taxes in their business as an individual. Green energy jobs. Have you seen those around here anywhere? No, as a matter of fact, he's gone after energy. He says he's for all of the above when it comes for energy. You heard that. And yet he's made it harder to get coal out of the ground. He's made it harder to get natural gas out of the ground. He's made it harder to get oil out of the ground. He says he's for all of the above. I finally figured out what he means. He's for all the sources of energy that come from above the ground, not for the things that come below the ground. I want energy above and below the ground. I want coal, gas, oil, nuclear, as well as renewables. He was going to cut the deficit in half. He's more than doubled it. And that deficit is something my generation is not going to pay back. It's going to be passed on to our kids and our grandkids. I think it's not just bad economics. I think it's immoral for us to pass on those burdens to our kids. If I'm president, I'll go after that deficit and get America on track to a balanced budget. And then there's Obamacare. And if I'm president, I'm going to repeal Obamacare and get health care to work for you, to get it more like a market, to limit the kinds of tort liabilities that are placed on doctors, get malpractice costs down. Let's get health care working for the people instead of working for the bureaucrats in Washington. Now I see a couple of young people here. That young lady back there. Hi, can you wave? Yeah. How old are you? She's 8 years old. She has a cap on. It says coal equals jobs, right? And I want you to have a good job. I want you to be able to stay here in Craig if you possibly can. I also want you to have a great school. Do you have a good school here? Yeah, I bet you do. I want to make sure that we have a president that cares more about kids than he cares about the teachers' union. I love great teachers. I love great parents. I love great kids. I'm going to put our kids first. And let me say this also. You know, you have to have government. You have to have laws. You have to have regulations. That's necessary to make a market work and to allow people to have the confidence in the future that will allow them to invest in starting a business and hiring other people. But you have to have a government that doesn't get too big, and you have to have a government that sees its job, yes, it's stopping the bad guys from doing bad things, polluting and harming other people, but also you have to have a government that sees its job as encouraging the good guys, Government sees small business and big business as the enemy. We're not the enemy. Some of these liberals say they like a strong economy, but then they act like they don't like business. An economy is nothing but the collection of all of our businesses together. I want our government to support small business, middle-sized business, big business. I want jobs. I want government that's an ally of business, not an enemy of business. And I can assure you that if I get elected with your help, I will make things better.